Welcome to Astro Chat with Anne Sundell, Kimberly Williams, and Monica Anna. We are three professional astrologers living in three separate countries, coming together every new and full moon to share our 3 points of view on astrology. Whether you enjoy deep dives into the current transits or you are just beginning to learn about astrology for the first time, there is a place for you here. All that is required is an appreciation for astrology, along with respect for the various traditions within it. So grab a mug of coffee, your favorite cup of tea, or any other beverage of your choice, and join us for a chat on the astrology of the next 2 weeks.
Hi there. Welcome back to another Astro Chat. My name is Kimberly Williams, and I'm going to be your host today. Sadly, for us, Anne Sundell and Monica Anna cannot join. I don't know about y'all, but it seems like eclipse season has not left, even though we've gone through another lunation, and it seems like we should be on the other side. That energy of chaos and disruption, and some of it is wonderful and beautiful disruptions, seems to be permeating the three of our lives. I hope if you're feeling it, it's bringing good things your way, as it is for us. So for today, it is just you and I. Let's dive in. We're going to be looking at the new moon in Scorpio. This is going to be happening the morning of November 1st at 7:47 a.m. in the central time zone of the United States. If you live across the pond in the UK, it's in the afternoon. I think that's 1:47 p.m. And then in Finland, that would be 3:47 p.m. And of course, as always, please transfer this to the time zone and the location of where you are so you can follow along. One of the first things we're going to be talking about is the fact that it is a new moon in Scorpio. And so we like to always start off with, what does that mean? The new moon energy, the Scorpio energy, how do we apply that together? If you haven't been listening to us for a while, feel free to go back to the last few years, the episodes we did in October of those years, where the three of us went in depth about new moon in Scorpio. I'll try to remember to put links to those episodes and the timestamps for that discussion in the descriptions. A new moon, let's talk about that part first. A new moon is when obviously the sun and the moon are conjunct in a particular sign. And the three of us have always talked about how new moons are times of unconscious work. It's what is in the unconscious, what is in our intuition, maybe something that's been held in our body. There are many different ways we can look at the unconscious. We could take a psychological approach and look at maybe where there's some shadow that wants to come up and be healed. We could take a karmic approach and think about how new moons have affected us before. I think, if I remember correctly, Anne has talked in the past about sometimes looking at the new moons and if they are connected to our prenatal or postnatal eclipses, things of that nature. There's so many ways we can dive in and work with it. Basically, the new moon means that all the themes we're looking at about Scorpio energy and about the aspects that are being made, all of this has a very unconscious flair. All of this is about what is it that's in the back of the mind, and we need to bring it forward. How is the unconscious moon energy bringing to the sun's light of awareness the themes that we want to be working on? The fact that it's in Scorpio, there's so much we could say about Scorpio. For me, the main thing is that whenever the moon is in Scorpio, I'm feeling with intensity. I think intensity is probably my number one keyword for the sign of Scorpio, followed by the word transformation. And I'm sure that comes as no surprise to many of y'all. Most Scorpios that I meet, or people with a lot of placements in the sign of Scorpio, the first thing I notice when I meet them is there is this intensity. There is something else hidden beneath the surface. Sometimes that can feel like mystery. Sometimes that can feel like power. Sometimes it's just, I'm waiting for it to be revealed. I think this has to do with the idea that one of the symbols we associate with Scorpio is the iceberg, because Scorpio is a fixed water sign. Fixed in that it likes to hold on to things. It likes to see things through. It likes to keep chomping on something until it has fully understood, processed, digested what is at play, especially the mysteries in life. Scorpio energy looks for where things are hidden, whether they're hidden because somebody is lying or whether they're hidden because things are not yet clear. They want to uncover, they want to unearth what is beneath the surface. They're looking to understand the things that are important in life, where there is depth, mystery, hidden treasures to be revealed. And just like an iceberg, some of that is visible on the surface, and most of it is hidden beneath, at least hidden from view. I also think that another keyword that feels very Scorpionic to me is transformation, because Scorpio understands the cycles in life or lifetimes. Scorpio understands that we are here to grow and to learn, and that as we are evolving and transforming ourselves or the world around us, that requires that we periodically let go. We have to let go of what no longer serves. And we have to reach and step into and be uncomfortable growing into that which time has come. This means that the Scorpio energy is intimately connected with death and rebirth, endings and beginnings, cord cutting, releasing, and starting anew. These are not just themes that we periodically connect with through Scorpio, but they're interconnected with Scorpio, and they're interconnected with each other. In other words, it isn't just about experiencing endings. We can't just be releasing if we're in Scorpio land. We have to also be willing to step into what needs to start. If we're going to close a door, we must open a window, knowing somewhere there's a door that will close. And this could be one of the reasons why Scorpio energy is not exuberant and buoyant about beginning things the way Aries might be, the sign that loves to start things up, because there's an innate understanding that with every rebirth comes a loss. And subsequently, this is a sign that has the tenacity and that survival instinct to really work its way through things that are tough and emotional and sometimes a little torturous in this human life. Because I think the Scorpio energy knows that all of the pain and suffering is leading us to a rebirth where we will have something more joyous on the other side, or that suits us better, where we can do more. It's about the transformation. It isn't about the moment that we're in. And as I said, if you want to know more about the three of our ideas and approaches where we align or diverge about Scorpio energy, feel free to listen to the discussions on the new moon in some of the past podcasts. All right, let's dive into the Sabian symbol next. Sabian symbol for 10 Scorpio, since we're going to round up as we do with Sabian symbols, is a fellowship supper reunites old comrades. Let me say that again. A fellowship supper reunites old comrades. Let's break that down. Fellowship, coming together, that sense of connection and community. Supper, food. It could feel social. It could be that there are themes about food. There could be themes about people we have socialized with. And this idea of reuniting to me conveys the idea that this is about the past. So this might be where we actually feel the need to reach out and reconnect with someone or groups or themes from our past. They may be reaching out to us, but we also might be reuniting with the memories, the experiences, the emotions that come up from the past. Or similarly, as people are reaching out to us from the past, that in itself might feel wonderful to reconnect, but it could bring up emotions about past events, past themes that bring a little discomfort with them. Again, what we see on the surface is not all of the picture. There's more we have to discover by going deeper, by going within. Let's look at some of the aspects that are happening and see if this idea of the fellowship supper reuniting us with old comrades keeps permeating and how it can influence the way we are interpreting what we see here. Let me go ahead and pull up a chart for you real quick. I actually have two charts, and the first one I'm bringing up, I've just highlighted for y'all the aspects that we see happening with the sun and the moon. Obviously, they are conjunct over there in Scorpio. And we have one, I guess you would say, true major aspect happening, and that is the trine between the sun and the moon and Saturn over in Pisces, the energy of water to water. We also have a sextile, a major aspect, to an asteroid. You may or may not consider that depending on whether you work with asteroids. And that sextile is to the asteroid Ceres in Capricorn. And lastly, we have a quincunx, which is, if we were to go to the opposition, it is one sign away from that opposition point, or 150 degrees. And so we have a quincunx to the north node in Aries. It's interesting to me that there are not very many aspects happening with the new moon, and also that one of those aspects to the north node is interesting because the north node and the south node have practically no aspects as well, other than aspecting each other in opposition as they always do. This is the only one that stands out. Now, let's look at this chart in terms of what are the aspects happening to Mercury, who, unlike the sun, the moon, has many aspects going on in this lunation. Here we see Mercury co-present with the sun, the moon, and Scorpio, even though they're out of orb and not actually conjunct, but they are co-present in the same sign. Mercury is receiving a lot of energy. Notice how everything seems to be directing itself like an arrow towards the planet. Across the chart from Mercury, we have Uranus, who's been moving very slowly through the tail end of Taurus. And then on either side of Uranus, we have Chiron in Aries, and we have Jupiter in Gemini. They are making a lovely sextile to each other, and both of them are also making a quincunx to that Mercury. When you have two quincunxes and the two planets involved are sextile, that is known as a yod, or a finger of God, finger of fate. And so we have Mercury at the point of this yod, as well as being opposite Uranus. We also have a grand trine, the water to water flow here, a water trine of Mercury in Scorpio, connecting with Neptune in Pisces, all flowing over to Mars in Cancer, and then back again, all three water signs involved. And lastly, Mercury is also making a sextile to Pluto, who is currently in 29 degrees of Capricorn for its very last time, soon to be ingressing over into Aquarius. Let's start off by talking about those aspects happening to the lunation, to the sun and the moon. The one that stands out the most to me is that trine to Saturn in Pisces. Here we have the flow of water to water. There's something about emotion or intuition that is involved. This could also be saying there's something about the body issues that are involved. Because Saturn is the planet in Pisces, I'm leaning more towards the idea of where are the emotions, the intuition, the body stopped, blocked in some way. Maybe we've disassociated from them. They could be old and locked up somewhere, out of sight, out of mind, or they could be something that's more current, that's happening right now. Even though it's a trine, and we often talk about trines as being harmonious, the harmony is that the energy is flowing. It is not that the energy flowing feels positive, right? Here we have an intense sign of Scorpio, the depth of Pisces, bringing a lot of emotion up to the surface. This could feel a little like a tsunami, tidal wave kind of energy, which could be a little intense, a little scary. Saturn's response to that may be to clamp down. What are those, going back to our Sabian symbol, what are some of those feelings about reuniting with old comrades that could be coming up? The old friends, the people we have known, are we feeling nostalgic? For many of us, this is a time of year, Halloween, Samhain, festivals of light that different cultures celebrate. For many of us, this is a time when we're thinking about the past or ancestors or what has passed before. That may be strengthening this as well, this idea of what is it about the buried emotions that need to break free? Or maybe we have to go on that investigative hunt with Mercury ruling our mind and our intellect and our rational skills in this very emotional, intense, intuitive sign of Scorpio, maybe we just know it is time for something to be revealed. Maybe we know it is time to go deep within and find something that needs to come to the surface. Maybe we know it's time to release and let go so we can make space for something new to come in. This could be saying that we need to be doing the work of looking at what are the emotions I'm holding, I'm repressing, I have forgotten about. Any of these could be possible. And also with Saturn being the planet that rules society and the structures, this could be saying that our experiences in working through bureaucracy, working with government, working with the world around us is one of the things triggering this knowing it's time to look within. Maybe there's an obstacle in the outer world, and this is not the first time we've encountered such a hurdle. Saturn can also be indicative of when it is time to step up, level up in some way. Maybe we have to bring our mind or our communication skills forward to speak more openly about what previously we've kept quiet, hidden, held in check, if you will. I feel like this is saying something needs to come forward, and it could feel really emotional, but it's also time. And it's necessary because there is some baggage we don't need to carry anymore. It's just too heavy. There's also a sextile to Ceres in Capricorn, and Ceres is often referred to as the mother asteroid. In mythology, Ceres could be nurturance and abundance of the earth, but when she was grieving for her daughter, she could also be when we were experiencing times of starvation and survival issues. With her being in the sign of Capricorn, I feel like this can echo a little of that Saturnian message, Saturn being the natural ruler of Capricorn. We may find here that what do I need to nurture about my thinking? Where do I need to step up my game in terms of my communication? What is it that is coming to the surface? And specifically, I would say, what are the words, the language, the messages that I perceive from it that I need to hear? This could be saying that there are words, messages we've heard in the past that still haunt us, or that we still carry, or that we have unconsciously accepted and integrated, been conditioned to believe and accept as truth. And it may be time to love ourselves a little more, nurture ourselves a little more, and let some of that energy go. We also have the quincunx to the North Node in Aries, which could be indicating that after doing months and months of work, as the North Node has been traveling through the sign, about learning to make it about ourselves more, learning to honor and accept that I need to fill my own picture before I can be there for others or other responsibilities, that there's something ready to break through. But the challenge with a quincunx is that we can't just change one side. We can't simply make changes to be more or less scorpionic to find balance. That would be an opposition. With a quincunx, we have to change both sides. This means we have to honor and accept what is my life path, my purpose, not ours, not theirs, mine. Aries, me, myself, I. Where do I need to be headed at this stage in my life? This could be indicating I need to release and let go the old goals and objectives and dreams and aspirations, and really step into what are the ones I have right here, right now. Honoring that this is now my path forward. It may or may not connect to prior paths I've had in the past. And this could also be saying that this work is rather intense and we need to do a deep dive into ourselves. We need to bring to the light of the sun some of the unconscious hidden emotions that the moon is connected with. Even though there are not many aspects happening, I think each of them are extremely intense, to use a favorite Scorpionic word, and can take up a fair amount of our time and a fair amount of our energy in the days ahead. Now let's look at that Mercury energy, because I think that could tell us a lot about the path or the ways in which we can do this exciting, intense, and at times fearful kind of work. Mercury, as I mentioned, is receiving most of the energy. Everything is directing towards it. And Mercury in Scorpio could be the investigator. Let's put on our Sherlock Holmes hat and do a dive into ourself, into our own psyche, our unconscious, into our personality, in whichever way you want to take it, maybe into our karma. Let's go see what we can find there. First, let's just talk about the fact it makes a sextile to Pluto. Pluto says that this is buried treasure and we have to uncover it. But that journey, often, have you watched any of those wonderful Indiana Jones movies or any of those other films about the archaeologist who goes on the hunt to find the golden treasure and has to overcome how many death-defying obstacles? I think that this could feel very scary. This work can put us into a place of paralysis. I just can't think. I can't find the words. I can't use my rational mind. I'm so overwhelmed. If I take the lid off of that coffin, the skeleton I find within there is going to leave me shaking in my boots. And again, we see that Capricorn theme comes back to the surface one more time with Pluto and Capricorn. What is that final thing we have to do before Pluto, after 20 years in the sign, shifts over into Aquarius? What is remaining? We've done so much work in the last 20 years, right? We've had success and failures in this journey. What is the last leg of this climb to get to that mountaintop? And it can feel hard and heavy. Most likely, since we're dealing with Mercury here, it's talking about speaking your truth, bringing something that you have kept in reserve to the forefront. And that may mean that we feel exhausted because we're using our reserves of energy, of emotion, of thinking, of thought, of calm, that we may feel as if the fear is just overcoming. The other thing is, it may not be about fear. This could also be saying that as we get excited about moving forward, we become a little OCD. We are now embracing all of this energy. We are finding it hard to stop thinking about what it is that I want to overcome, what it is I need to release. And if we're thinking about it, then we're not doing the work of releasing it, perhaps. This is a sextile. It is harmonious. I think what it's also telling us is if we step into our logical, rational, and more objective mind, that we may start to see the big picture and recognize all the puzzle pieces that have gone into building this picture up. And we can choose to find that last piece to put it into place, to bring the picture to a completion. And then that means we can choose to let it go or carry it forward, depending on what's in best for our highest good. Now, it's also opposite Uranus, so chances are this is not I'm going to take time and choose to dive into myself kind of journey. With Uranus being opposite, it is most likely through the stress, the chaos, the unexpected hurdles, the things breaking down, and all the stress that creates, those moments where we feel like we're in crisis, whether that be a true crisis scenario, whether that be just a momentary anxiety attack of creating that feeling of crisis, or a bit of both. It is through the upheavals that we are experiencing that are triggering this, let me breathe, let me get centered, let me allow my mind to take charge, and let me look at this objectively and work my way through it. Of course, being the point of that yod means that on the one hand, Chiron is here saying that this work is bringing us healing. And the other side of that yod, having Jupiter, means this feels huge. It can feel like what I'm tackling is life-changing. If I succeed, thinking about that Capricorn and that Saturn energy, if I succeed, that could change my life. If I fail, I'm never going to be able to walk this path again. It can feel much more dramatic than the reality is. Once again, saying that we need to embrace our logical, linear, rational, objective mind and to use it as the lens that we are looking at our emotional self, not denying the emotions, but maybe figuring out which feelings are just that, are feelings, and which feelings are actually intuition telling us this needs to occur, this needs to happen. Some things that feel like doom may not be. And by the same token, some things that feel like doom may be that intuitive knowing of Scorpio that this is something I'm bringing to an end. It is time for me to let this go. Sometimes the way we let things go is by recognizing that every time I attempt task XYZ, I'm banging my head against the wall and I'm not having success. And perhaps letting go those things where I've not experienced achievement, success. I'm not able to climb that mountaintop and moving on to a different mountain range to climb could be part and parcel here. Again, it is all about our personal journey and how we can experience healing and healing through release and reclaiming our words, our thoughts, our focus. And lastly, as I mentioned, we have a grand water trine. And if we start with this lovely point of Mercury in Scorpio, there is something beneath the surface and we now sense it. We now know it is no longer hidden from us. We may not have clarity on everything that is there. Is this intuition hunch telling me to step forward, telling me to let go? What am I letting go of? We may not have all the answers, but we have a knowing that something is coming up from the depths. It's making a trine to that Saturn, meaning that what has been unknown to us before is now revealing itself. And perhaps this isn't just about my personal journey. I think with Saturn and Pisces, for many of us, there's been the recognizing I am a spiritual being having a human experience. I'm not just a human. Spirit is on this journey with me. This could be saying that we're getting those nudges from our ancestors, our spirit guides, our higher self, whatever it is you believe in, that is helping us to figure out what the next step is, how to move forward. The intuition isn't just my intuition, it's me receiving a message from higher source. And all of that connects with lovely Mars saying it's time to take action. Of course, with Mars currently being in Cancer, the sign of its fall, it may not be a quick, rapid, immediate action. It's more of the sense, the knowing, the feeling that it's time for me to step into action. And this could be indicating we need to do whatever it is that makes us feel safe first before we're able to go forward. If, for example, you're deciding to start a blog, but fear has been holding you back, maybe this is I start a private blog, or I only invite certain people. If you're looking to start some kind of promotional venture, maybe it's to a select invite-only group. We can break the big step down into smaller baby steps. And I feel like with Mars and Cancer, that always serves me so well. What is the action I want to take? And if it feels too exhausting, too terrifying, too overwhelming, or I just don't, as they say, I don't have enough spoons right now. I'm doing too many things in other areas to put energy here. Fine, let's break that step down into smaller baby steps so we can still feel like we're moving forward. And this could be saying that our rational mind is able to look at the bigger picture and break it down. Just like Scorpio, we may start off with that intuitive, not really sure what we're knowing Scorpion. We can rise above like the eagle and see the bigger picture. And we can release what is holding us back and figure out how to start to fly towards what's calling us until eventually, before we even know it, we've had the whole death and rebirth and we are now the Thunderbird. Like that analogy. It feels very dramatic. It feels very heavy. It feels very intense, but it also is exciting. And I believe it is part and parcel of leading us forward. Because let's not forget that soon we're going to be looking at Pluto changing signs. the nodes changing signs. And by the time we get to the end of next year, we've had 7 occurrences of planets, nodes, major points, all changing signs. Something is in the air about we're moving in new directions. And I think that this lunation could be that wake-up call of what we still need to let go, or if we've let go, what is it we need to start? What is the ending? What is the beginning that we are being called to step into? And we've either been avoiding, not seeing, or unconscious about. And now it's time for us to know. I'll leave you with a tip, as we love to end with our tips and tricks. And for me, it always comes back on a new moon, always comes back to me for something that is somatic, something that gets me feeling this energy, because it feels so unconscious on the new moon. It isn't for another 3 days when we hit the crescent phase that usually I'm able to take action and do something with what was stirred up. I would say embrace this idea of intensity. And the fact that we have Ceres making a sextile to some of this energy says to me, how about food? Ceres is involved. The Sabian Symbols talked about a supper was involved. So feed your soul, literally, with some food. Embrace something spicy. Embrace something comforting. Embrace something that makes you feel ready to release or to step in. And then take a moment to just notice how that feels. Where do you feel that in your body? Talk to that part of your body. Maybe get a little woo, right? And rub some lotion on that part of the body. Honor that part of your body. Ask that part of your body. For me, it's often joints that hold the tension. How Saturnian and Capricornian can you get? If a joint is bothering me, I may want to talk to that joint and ask, what is it holding on to? What is it time for me to release? As comfortable as you are doing that kind of work, take it as light or as deep as you want and see what is revealed. What messages are you receiving from your body as a vehicle of spirit? Who knows? And hopefully Anne and Monica will chime in with some tips that they are trying out during this lunation as well. We'll see you back here in 2 weeks and look forward to hearing how your journey is progressing in the meantime.
Thank you for joining us in this week's Astro Chat. We hope that you enjoyed the discussion and would love to hear about anything that resonated with you. Keep the conversation going by posting shareable content on our Instagram, Facebook, or YouTube pages. You can also email us at astrochatpodcast@gmail.com. AstroChat is uploaded every 2 weeks on the Saturday before each new and full moon. Look for us on your favorite podcast platform as well as on YouTube. You can support AstroChat and receive exclusive content by donating on our Patreon page. We look forward to chatting with you all again at the next lunation of the moon.